Have you ever seen pro artists do these and said, should I be doing that too? Well, as you watch me draw this today, learn all the popular advice and things that you've seen pro artists do that you actually shouldn't do because it's not the right thing for you and what those consequences could be if you do. And I wonder, how many of these are you doing right now? Now, this first one might come as a surprise for you here because if you go ahead and you look across my channel, I give a lot of art business advice. However, though, one of the things that I really want to just kind of put out there, and y'all are going to have different feelings about this, is that you don't need to make money from your art. Have you ever felt really pushed and compelled, like, I'm not validated, I'm not a real artist unless I'm getting some kind of an income, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's once in a while, whether it's a full-time income, whether or not your passion is your paycheck? Have you ever had these concerns? Well, listen, friend, I just want to let you know this, all right? If no one's ever told you this, you are perfectly fine and you are still an artist, even if you're not getting paid for it. And what I see is a lot of artists get pushed towards this validation route. And that's really what it is. This isn't about like you being a better artist because you get paid for it, but it's also just a validation route so that you actually feel like you are more of an artist and you feel like you're more part of a group and you feel like you're meeting somebody else's standards because you're monetizing it. And just to put it out there, you're still an amazing artist, even if you make $0 off of it. Because at the outset of it, one of the things that I've said for a very long time here is that if you are getting into this for the wrong reasons, like if that is your sole purpose for doing this, then you're getting into it for the wrong reason. And art should be at the very front of your mind. It should be something that you do for personal development, for enjoyment, for you to escape what we call normalcy, for you to escape mediocrity and this life that's been pushed upon us that's completely weird and alien, and it's not what human beings were actually meant to do, but it's what we exist in and what we cope with. And the reason I bring this up is because you will see no shortage of artists online that are doing a great job, they're doing a great business, and then that kind of sparks this little interest in you, and you're gonna be like, man, I gotta do this, I gotta start a business. But just real talk, that's not for everybody. And sometimes too, that's not the best route for you to develop your art either. And if you don't want to do that, friend, that's fine with you. There's nothing wrong. You're not inferior for that either. It is just okay for you to just keep art as a personal hobby or something that you just do in your free time, and you can be a monster artist with it, okay? And that also brings up some of the other issues that we're going to talk about today as far as what pro artists encourage artists to do that they really might not be properly aligned to. But if you're of this concern right now that like, oh man, I'm lesser than because I'm not making any money on it, you are so equal to every other artist that you know, look up to and admire because of the fact that you chose to do this, because honestly, so many people are so afraid to invest into this lifestyle, but you're not, and that makes you brave. Now let's talk about a particular process that I know you've seen because I've been seeing this for years. I've noticed that different artists, especially really popular ones, you've seen them have approaches that are very atypical. Or you might have seen also some artists that will go ahead and just take like 1 or 2 pictures and just slam out this amazing artwork. But I want to warn you right now, if you ever think that it's a great idea for you to make a serious piece and just go ahead and try to create that with like 3 references or less, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. And what that really ties itself into is this really poor misunderstanding of what actually constitutes your imagination. Because you love to draw from imagination, right? And your imagination is something that is heavily coveted in any artistic field. But what exactly is it? And so when you really get down and into it, your imagination is not just like your mind's ability to wander and create amazing things. And you're not born, by the way, with a greater imagination than anybody else. There's literally no proof of that exists. Here's how it actually works, y'all. When you boil it down, the root word of imagination is image. Your mind cannot image something if it has not seen it. It does not know what it is. So especially for those of you that are more in the developing artist trend, you should, and we'll talk about this later on too, you should definitely not push yourself to draw more from imagination, or you should push yourself slowly into doing this process. You need to focus on actually collecting supportive materials for everything that you're going to do, because through doing that, that'll actually, guess what, grow your imagination, and then you won't need to see it as much, okay? So what you're really seeing is like the tip of an iceberg when you're seeing an artist who's like going ahead and they just like slam out this amazing piece, but it's because of the fact that they have been exposed to it so much. They don't need to see that over and over and over again, okay? And I can also put this forth into when I do my art mentorship. Most of the time, whenever I work with people and they're dissatisfied with their work, this is the number one thing it always comes down to. And my personal recommendation for you, as it has transformed the lives of many artists just like you, friend, is to go ahead and start with at least 10 to 20 references for any artwork that you want. And that would just be for like one character or one scene. If you have multiple characters, go even further than that, okay? But if you've seen this and tried it and it didn't work out for you, this is why. It's because they've just trained themselves into it more, but you're not there yet, but you will be. Now this one's a doozy. I've been hearing this one for years, and I've seen so many artists dismayed, and myself included. Listen, I tried to start a Patreon at one point. I've tried more than one point to start an art YouTube channel. I've tried to go ahead and start different businesses all at once, and then I came to this realization is that starting multiple revenue streams is not a good idea. And that also ties itself into, have you ever heard just this push to have some type of a passive income where you can just make money while you sleep? Well, listen, y'all, that is a great philosophy, and it is something that you can grow into. But for most people, that is a horribly bad idea that will just leave you feeling annihilated, like your entire self-esteem is gone, and that you don't have a future because of the fact that it's just not a wise idea. So whenever you look at artists who are promoting this, I just want to go ahead and be brutally honest with you. That always comes from a place of privilege and comfort, because what you need to do in order to actually build multiple art revenue streams is you need to be successful with, wait for it, one thing. Like every single artist that you know that has multiple revenue streams did it by doing one thing really, really well. You look at Ross Strand, he's a phenomenal illustrator. You go ahead and take a Mark Brunet. He was an amazing concept artist and senior artist at Blizzard. When you go ahead and take a look at any artist that has this, you're gonna find this is the truth. They did one thing. For me, I started out by being an art teacher. Then I started to do freelancing. Then I created my art YouTube channel. Then I went ahead and I also created my art mentorship. So because of that, that's how I got it. And that's how they did it too, because I followed that exact formula. But for you who's dismayed because you're like, I'll start this, and next month I'll try that, and next week I'll do this, and then, oh, next year I'll do that, and none of them are working, this is why. So should you start multiple revenue streams? Absolutely. Should you do it right now? Probably not. Because if you're not successful in one, why do you think that you should try to fail 5 times instead of just commit and succeed with doing one at a time? Y'all see how that works? It's so much better and so much more sustainable than any other version of this I've ever heard. And if you're really hooked on to passive income, let me tell you this, friend, before you can worry about making money about how you sleep, worry about how you make money while you're awake first, huh? Now, you probably live a pretty busy life and you have a lot of things that you have to do in just an average every single day. And I've heard it from some of y'all, some of the really rough circumstances that y'all go through just on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, okay? And some of y'all are in some different seasons of life that some of us are not. And because of that, I'm gonna just defy this popular logic that you need to make art every single day. Have you heard this before, or have you tried it out and then it just honestly leaves you feeling like you're really dissatisfied with it, or it's just overall not something that you can commit to? Because I'm gonna be very honest with you, I don't make art every single day. And in fact, what you actually wanna do is not have that mindset. Listen, when you're a professional, that is something that you definitely have to do. That is something that you do because you have to promote it. You have to support your lifestyle. You have to do it for work. There are many reasons why that is something that they have to do every single day. But for you and for me, y'all, that's not something that you have to do. So I want to give you some better mindsets towards how you can actually approach this that's way more sustainable, because just honestly, like there are so many times when you can feel bad about doing that, but here's a better way. Look at it in terms of what do you do in a week? Like if you can just commit 5 to 10 hours a week, which is not a lot, because I promise you, if you just cut your Netflix down, you can easily achieve that. If you cut your gaming down, you can very easily achieve that, because none of that will matter in 10 years, but your level and your comfort level with your artwork will always matter based on what you're doing right now. And then I'm also gonna give you some advice in a minute about how to actually implement that into a realistic routine for you and how to go ahead and manage that a lot better. But what I find is that for everybody that tries to do this, they either succeed because they have the lifestyle that supports it, but real talk, sometimes things come up all the time. Sometimes we experience tragedies, and sometimes just we're not able to filter that into what we have to do on a day-to-day basis. And you shouldn't be made to feel bad about that because you can't do that. And then that also ties it into what you need to do is work with intent. Like, there's a very big difference with somebody that works every single day on their artwork and they're doing that unfocused versus somebody who is super intentional but doing it less. And the thing I want to let you know is that you will grow exponentially faster, exponentially better when you're working hyper intentionally and you know exactly what you're doing, you know what the purpose of each artwork is, and you know what the purpose of each exploration is, and you know exactly what you are trying to achieve all the time. That person that utilizes their focus and their intention is going to explode artistically versus everybody that's just trying to do it because they're trying to keep up with some expectation that isn't their own. That's not gonna make it, friend. Have you ever felt like this? Now, have you ever seen pro artists who have multiple different types of art styles, and it seems like they can just bounce around? They can do a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy, they can do a little bit of anime, they can do a little bit of realism, they can do some pet portraits here and there, and no matter what they do, these people just have the King Midas touch. Have you ever seen that? Everything that they touch just turns to gold, and everybody loves it, and they might be selling it. And now you're looking at yours and you're like, why doesn't my shop sell out? Why don't my commissions sell when I try to do the same thing? Well, just to oppose that, friend, I want to let you know this from the bottom of my heart, that is not a good focus for you. Now, again, pros can do that. Why? Because they've developed extreme skill and they've developed extreme proficiency. And you don't see this a lot. You don't see what the artist has gone through to get to that pro level in order to achieve that comfort level and that proficiency level with everything that they're doing. But that's not you, friend. And especially if you're trying to make this some type of a business venture for you artistically, then you need to understand that having 10 different genres and 10 different art styles will only help you and assist you in failing 10 different ways, not succeeding 10 different ways. Just go ahead and think about this, okay? When you think about pro artists, just any pro artist, just have it in your mind here. What do they actually get good at first? And just dive into what is your number one. And then those other interests that you have, because we have other interests. Listen, I'm a big fantasy guy here, but I love to do other things. I love to do D&D, obviously, as you can tell from all my speed paints and all my videos here. But I also like to do sci-fi, and I also like to do other genres too. And if you didn't know, I used to be an anime artist too. So you can keep all of that, but do that in your own time. Do that less time. Think about this proportionately. How are you utilizing your time and what is that going towards building? Because honestly, you can be great with one thing or great with nothing. And that's really the way it's going to be known, okay? And then what that also leads into is that you're going to feel dismayed and you're going to feel very discouraged about the fact that you're going to be looking around at all these other artists and you're probably caught in this comparison trap. Am I talking about you? Where you're looking online, looking at other pro artists and you're like, ooh, I like that. And I should try that. And I should do this. And I should do that. And this is popular. And this is trendy. And I need to do this. I need to do that. That is going to cause so much artistic confusion for you. It's just not worth it, friend. So let's just clarify that confusion and just wholly focus into one thing and keep it proportionately maxed out at that. And then you can sprinkle in the rest of the stuff that you love. That way it's wholly sustainable and you can feel your growth, you can feel your development, and you're starting to build something that's really important, which is you're starting to build yourself a personal brand. How's that sound? Now, this would not be a good video for me if I didn't try and give you a little bit of freelance tips here. And this one has been something that I have been combating for a long time. And I'm gonna go ahead and make this case to you one more time here because I feel like those of you that are new here, you need to hear this, or those of you that keep coming back and you haven't applied it, you really need to hear this here. So when you go ahead and you take a look at really big artists, or you take a look at artists that are pro and they're starting to grow their following, okay? You're gonna notice that they go ahead and they put out tons of inquiries on social media, and you're gonna notice that they go ahead and they put out their commission sheets, or they go ahead and they advertise that they're open for business. And I just wanna let you know that if you are trying to look for commissions on social media, that is probably the worst place for you to go, okay? because of the fact that this is not going to support you with your 200 followers, because you want to think that the people, first off, that follow you on social media, how many of them, if we go up a level, are actually going to consistently see your stuff? How many from them are actually going to, as we go up the next level, actually interact with you? How many from them are actually going to be a fan? And then how many of them are actually going to purchase whatever you're potentially putting out there? And so because of that logic, that's basically why it's a terrible idea for you to look on social media. Most people on these platforms are just looking to kill time. Most of them are just teenagers. Now, do you see pro artists do this? Yes. Do they have a great experience with this one? Yes. Why is that though? Because they have a very substantial backing to do it. But that's not you. I just want to let you know that that's not you. That's not most artists. Also, there's this thing, have you ever heard of social proof? Social proof is basically how we validate the worth and the value of somebody based on their popularity metrics. So for us on social media, what we tend to do is associate with an artist their following count, their subscriber count. We tend to validate them based on that, not the quality of their work, but it's actually based on this weird, what's called a vanity metric. And look, if you're feeling pushed and compelled to go ahead and be a content creator so that you can do that, I just want to go ahead and blow the lid off of this. Not all artists are meant to do that. And for most of you, that will actually kill your productivity and kill your creativity as well, just because of the fact that you're pushing yourself to do something that has nothing to do artistically speaking. So you don't need to grow a following. You can be successful with this. And I've been promoting this for a long time. If you want to learn the best ways to do that, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and go ahead and check out some of the links down below in my description for how to actually do this without social media. So if you've been put off by that, don't worry, there are better ways, and I can teach you how. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this topic, and especially right now, you see very polarizing opinions on one specific topic, which is the use of AI. And if you take a look at what some pros are doing, some pros are heavily opposed to it. Some pros are embracing it, some pros are experimenting with it, some pros are trying to figure out, is this something they can use in their workflow? I've even heard that there are some pros who do this behind closed doors. They don't promote it. There are some that are very active online. They're very vocal about it. They're very transparent about it. Have you seen a lot of this too, by the way? And so on that topic, let me ask you this. Have you considered how using AI might make you more pro? Because one of the things that I want to let you know, and just to combat what your perception of this might be, is this. When a pro does something like this, when they use AI, look, I just want to be honest with you. Whatever they do, it doesn't matter. They are a pro. They have their foot in the industry. They have their establishment. They have everything that you currently don't have. Okay? Have you ever considered that? And so therefore, because of the fact that they're going to experiment with something that is highly controversial right now, and maybe it works for them a little bit, maybe it doesn't matter. They have extreme skills. They have extreme experience. They have extreme connections. It doesn't matter. But for you, that's a very different conversation, okay? That's a very different philosophy, because you thinking that you can shortcut your way to get there by using it will never happen. They have accumulated years of skill and years of experience in doing it, and years of creativity building, and years of building their imagination and their portfolio. You don't have that yet. So for you to kind of use that as a crutch to stand on is never going to work out for you, friends. So don't look at what pros are doing and be like, oh, well, I have to do that, because that's foolish, all right? That would be, and also too, just from a professional standpoint, just with my feelers out there, nobody respects the people that are trying to do this and trying to get into those industries. It just won't work for you either, friend. And then on the opposite end of this too, are you worried about why you should even bother making artwork because of AI? Because here's the thing too, and here's the beautiful part. If you're not a pro, why are you caring? Why does this matter for you? Again, I'm just gonna cite this for you. Is your only purpose in art to make money? Because you can grow that regardless, okay? And AI is not going to disrupt that. I promise you that, because it hasn't and it will not. Has it done it for some people? Yes. Will it do it long term? No, it will not, because it's not delivering on what it promised. But to be honest with you, friend, you would be doing yourself a tragic disservice by giving up something that is really deep and meaningful for you and that is personally enjoyable for you just because a computer can simulate it, don't you think? Or again, are you just into this for the wrong reasons? Because regardless of what pros are doing or aren't doing, your inclusion of AI is not going to help you get there either. And don't be worried about it, because it doesn't know your future. Only you do. Now I want to ask you all this. When is your creativity open for business? Like, do you have a sign somewhere on your person that says like open for business between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m.? And one of the things that I honestly say, it kind of annoys me, especially when I'm trying to look at this from the perspective of somebody who's just starting out, and tell me if this is you. Do you ever hear that you have to have like your perfect routine? And listen, like, I'm a hyper type A person telling you this if you can't figure that out about me. So just as an example, y'all, I've seen so many art vlogs that romanticize this idea, and it basically starts out something like, hey guys, so I went ahead and I woke up and then I sat down for an hour, I drank my herbal ultra fancy schmancy tea, and then I went ahead and drank my brain enhancing super soldier serum, and then I conversed with my cat about the meaning of life for an hour, and then I went to the gym, and then you'll see them doing their exercises or whatever, and then I came home at my leisure and I sat at my comfy cozy desk, and then only from these hours did I focus on making artwork finally. And so one of my, I think, biggest issues with this is what this promotes is that like, it promotes this idea that like you have to have perfectly crafted this comfy routine. But listen, y'all, I want to encourage you, live in chaos, okay? So what I would encourage you to do instead of this is to oppose this romanticization of what it's like living and being a professional artist or being an artist that's growing into that season of their life, is to just go ahead and embrace whenever you have time, make art. If you have time in the morning, make art. If you have time in your lunch break, make art. If you have time after work, make art. If you have time at night, make art. Like, just to give myself as a personal example here, I have gone ahead, I've woken up like an hour and a half early and used that for my time. I've also mostly gone ahead and I do a lot of my artwork at night. If I need to do it in the middle of the day, I'll do it in the middle of the day. If I need to do it during a break, I will do it during a break. At no point in my life have I thought like, oh, look, well, I'm only open for business right here. And so again, like, do you have some type of limitation? Like, where on your person does it say like only open for business from here to here? Because if you think, and I hear this from a lot of people, that they'll say something to the effect of like, oh, well, I only do well from here to here. My creativity is best from here to here. And y'all, here's what I want to just oppose this with, because this is actually grounded in psychology, is that is a construct. That is the product of conditioning, not fact. You can go ahead and wake up whenever you want. You can go to bed whenever you want. You can do anything you want whenever you want, as long as you optimize it for you. And that it needs to be popularized a lot more than having a freaking routine that you can only do it during certain times and only doing certain hours. Because if your muse comes a knocking and you're not available, you're not open for business, guess what? They're gonna leave, and that's where your creativity and your potential is gonna go, y'all. Now let me ask you about this. What is your workflow currently like, and how long have you been developing it? How many times have you shifted it? How many times have you revised it? How many times have you just busted into something totally different and new? Or are you still going through the same things that you learned in art school? Have you been doing the same exact process for 10 plus years? Because one of the things that I'm gonna cite is that when you watch any professional artist and you watch how they work, generally you're gonna notice that they have a very established workflow. They work in a very understandable and honestly predictable fashion. Like, you will watch them do certain things at certain times and hit certain checkpoints at certain times. But for you who's not a professional, you thinking that your workflow works is probably not the case. So whenever I work with people one-on-one in my Art Mentorship, for example, I tend to see this a lot, and I'll ask them about it and I'll kind of observe them week to week, month to month about how are they working. And then one of the things that I actually seek to do is interrupt. How are they working? How are they thinking? And just as an FYI, your workflow is literally a direct representation of how you think. All right, both as a person and as an artist. So you are going to go ahead and encounter the same fears, the same doubts. You're going to encounter the same exact insecurities all the time. And so one of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is to not get locked into your workflow. Don't just think like, oh, this is the only way to work. I can only do this. I can only do it like that. And I see so many young artists that always do this. And if you're, again, looking at a pro and you're like, man, that is an interesting way to work. That looks different. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Like for me, I always watch paint videos, or I watch art talks where artists are painting the background, and I'm not like amazed by their artwork. Instead, what I'm doing, because even though it is amazing, I'll be like, why are they doing that? How do they do this? What tool are they using? What function did they use for that? And I will go ahead and try to decipher and understand for myself, like, how are they approaching that? And I do that because I want to grow my process. Like, just to give myself as an example, I've completely revolutionized my entire workflow at least 10 times over the last 10 years. Like, literally every single year, I kind of find like one or two things that I really want to implement, I really want to try out. And that's what I encourage you all to, because that will kind of tie itself into your speed. And we'll talk about that in a second too. But if you think right now that you have the perfect workflow, I'm going to be honest, you don't, because unless you're a pro, you're not there yet. And even pros know this too, that they can always adapt and evolve. But this is going to be one of those things that's honestly going to hold you back. It's going to hold you back from achieving the results that you want, from achieving the time that you want, from achieving the speed that you want, from achieving overall the lifestyle that you want to have in your artwork. So don't get so locked in and fixated on like, this is the best, because honestly, it's only the best for you right now based on what you think is the best. And that will always change, friends. See how that works? All right, so now let's be honest here. Are you a slow artist? Does it take you forever to get anything going? Does it take you forever to finish a piece? Are you somebody who spends like 40, 50 hours on artwork versus you're looking at somebody who can do the same thing in like maybe 3 to 5? Do you ever feel really, really discouraged when artists talk about, especially pro artists, they're talking about how much time it takes for them to do something versus you? Or like, have you ever gotten a paint over critique and like they just worked on it for like 10 minutes and all of a sudden just blew apart everything that you used to feel really good about? Well, there's something that I think that you need to have a different type of a relationship with, okay? Because for you who's not a professional artist already, you should not feel bad at all about speed. Just don't worry about it, okay? Just to put this into another context here, you'll never hear a baby complain about the fact that it doesn't walk across the room as fast as a parent does. And so why would you feel bad that you who's a learning and developing artist, you who's a hustling artist, is taking more time? Y'all, the focus is not speed. If your true focus is speed, that will come, but it will come over time. It's never gonna just happen for you. There's no perfect workflow that's just gonna execute this a crap load faster for you, because even if you try and do something totally new, it's not gonna work out for you the first time. It's not gonna work out for you probably the first like 25 times either. You have to go at something consistently for a very long period of time in order for it to get quick. And listen, here's really what you need to get in order to get quick at something is you need to develop comfort. You need to develop confidence with it. And I don't want to make this ambiguous when I say those words. I want to be very specific with it. It's basically you need to numb yourself to what you're doing to the point where you don't have to think about it as much. Think about it like this, right? Like I'm a pugilist, I've boxed, I've done martial arts. If you throw a punch at me, my immediate reflex is to go ahead and block it or dodge it. I can't help it. My kids throw a toy at me and I'm like immediately in reaction mode. I don't have to think about it. And then in the same sense, like there are so many times in my artwork where I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I'm just going with the flow. Here's another thing that's gonna really gift you a whole lot of speed here, friend, is your level of care. And what I see that is a big time-sucking trap, like it is a complete black hole for you, is when you approach your artwork with maximum care all the time. And so here's a really big takeaway how I wanted to just gift you with right now, is that if you're somebody who's complaining about their speed or complaining about how much time it's taking you, it's really not that you're too slow, it's just that you care too much all the time. And if you look at pro artists, you take a look at their work in the beginning phase, it always sucks. It always looks weird. It always looks bad. And even if you're looking at your work and you're like, oh God, well, their like first hour is better than my 10 hours. That's okay. It's because you're caring too much at every freaking phase. Slow it down and just learn it. It's okay. Your focus is on proficiency, not on speed. And again, if you're exerting an exhausting level of care, all that will seek to do is make this unsustainable and burn you out because you care too much at the lineup phase and you care too much about when you're first starting to add values and you care too much about when you're starting to do colors and you care too much about every freaking piece that needs to be rendered when not every piece needs to be rendered to the highest possible degree. And that's why you're feeling like you're going slow. It's just because you don't know how to shift your focus and attention. Try that out next time. Now, this next tip, you'll always see this popularized by really big artists. And tell me this, have you ever been told that in order to do more, you need to do less? Have you ever been told that, well, you're going to be a much better artist when you take more breaks, when you're going to go ahead and you're going to take pauses from it? And somehow this mindset shift is going to just automatically propel you. But I just want to be honest, the way that you're taking a break definitely isn't helping, and just taking a break alone will never make you a better artist, friend. And to prove it, I made this entire video for you right here, so go ahead and check it out and learn some surprising results that you probably weren't aware of. Hey, if this has helped you, please go ahead and share this with somebody that you know. See you next time.